I had to talk about a story that's very, very important. And albeit indirectly, it involves Caitlin Clark, the Department of Justice, and quite possibly the President of the United States himself.
What Stephen A. Smith is about to lay out isn't just a hot take. It's a seismic shift in how Caitlin Clark's treatment is being discussed across the country. For over a year, her fans have called it out, that she's being targeted, that the fouls, the non-calls, the physical punishment, all of it goes way beyond basketball. And for just as long, they've been mocked for it. They've been dismissed, labeled Caitlin Karens, that she just needs to toughen up, take the hits, and prove herself. And the idea that there could ever be legal consequences for how she's treated, laughed out of the room. Until now. Because a new op-ed published by the Wall Street Journal didn't just question the league's handling of Clark. It made the case that what's happening to her might be a violation of federal civil rights law. And while many in the media either mocked or ignored the story entirely, Stephen A. didn't just acknowledge it, he gave it fuel. He broke it down live on air and laid out a path where this could escalate fast. That's right, a civil rights investigation into the WNBA's mistreatment of Caitlin Clark. It sounds wild. His take is bold. But if what he's saying plays out, it wouldn't just be uncomfortable for the league, it would be catastrophic. So let's break down what Stephen A. said, and what happens next if this spirals. But first, like this video if you think Caitlin Clark is being targeted on the court, and drop a comment if you think it's all just part of the game.
Which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter.
This cheap shot by Kennedy Carter during Caitlin's rookie season became the visual, the symbol, the moment that embodies the punishment Caitlin takes on the court. And it wasn't just one hit. Since Caitlin entered the league, she's been body checked, elbowed, scratched, shoved, and somehow the whistle just disappears. It's not random. It's not isolated. And if you've been watching, you know exactly what I mean. Some people tried to spin it as rookie hazing, like, oh, she's new, she has to earn the respect of the players. But come on, this isn't welcome to the league physicality, this is targeted. And it's been building for a while. Remember Diana Taurasi's infamous quote, "Reality is coming"?
Look, SVP, reality is coming.
Yeah, it came, and it hasn't stopped. Sophie Cunningham, who's been in this league for years and is one of the few players to publicly defend Caitlin, recently stepped up and called it out.
You have seen players in our league try to toughen up Caitlin. We call her Cece. Cece. For even when I wasn't on her team, I know the talks that Phoenix had in the locker room of no, we're gonna prove her, we're gonna show her what the W really is. You know what I mean? And I get it to a certain extent. And every rookie coming into the league, that's how you're gonna treat them. But There's just more for her. So it's her second year, and now being on her team and seeing it, I'm what are people doing? Actually, it's just too much.
Sophie has seen it all firsthand. She's been in this league long enough to know exactly how Caitlin gets treated, and when she saw enough, Sophie decided to make a statement. When J.C. Sheldon swiped at Caitlin's face, Sophie didn't hold back. She stepped in. She pushed back physically, and everyone took notice. And when reporters asked why she did it, she didn't dance around it. She said straight up, this wasn't just one game, one hit, one incident. She called out the pattern.
During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player, so.
Look, players always circle the calendar when they're playing the face of the league. That's normal. You want to prove something. You want to go hard. You want to show out. And there's nothing wrong with physical play. But many of these hits, they cross the line with no consequences. Which begs the question, why? Many say it's race, but any way you slice it, it comes down to one word, jealousy. Caitlin's not just popular, she's by far the biggest name in the league. And instead of embracing what that brings, too many players are pushing back like it's a threat. After Caitlin got snubbed in the Players All-Star voting, ESPN legend Dick Vitale could no longer hold back. He tweeted, "It's time for all in the WNBA to realize the value that Caitlin Clark has brought. Many of the talented players are now getting recognition so deserved due to the PR Caitlin has delivered. Enough already with the pettiness." And he's right. The jealousy might be understandable, but the way it's playing out, It's bad for business, and bad for the game. Candace Parker saw that too, and she said exactly what needed to be said.
Everybody has a Twitter finger. Everybody can have reach to, the WNBA and make comments. But really the key is, let's keep it about basketball. That's my thing. And when we do that, then we're able to really grow the game and what it represents. I still know, all of those players, the Dr. J's and all that stuff. I don't think they're not salty that MJ came along and grew the game.
All of this feels somewhat familiar, like the Tiger Woods era when many questioned his rise, questioned his vibe, and questioned his dominance. But even then, the best players quickly understood what Tiger was doing. They knew he made the game bigger. That's exactly what's happening now in the WNBA. A lot of people are discrediting Caitlin, downplaying her impact, but the numbers don't lie. She is shifting culture. Just listen to Phil Mickelson talking about Tiger. It's eerily similar logic, just different sport.
I'm so appreciative of what he's done for the game, but in that he's done as much for me or more than anybody else.
Oh, for all of us?
Because we're all in this together. Okay, we all make our living in golf, whether it's members of the media, whether it's players, whether it's caddies, anybody, we all want to build up this product, and nobody built up the game more than he did. When I came out on tour in summer of 1992, or when I won the Tucson Open, the purse was $1 million. The entire purse, first place $180,000. And I remember thinking mid-90s, I wonder if someday we'll play for $1 million first place check. I don't know, probably not in my lifetime, but I hope we do. And here we are every week, $1 million plus first place check. And that's due to Tiger. So now we have these purses that have gone way up. We have TV revenue and exposure. We have more medias covering it, which creates more value for corporate America. And all these opportunities drove up my revenue and every other player's revenue on the golf course and off the golf course. So I'm always appreciative of him.
But this isn't the 90s. This is the social media era. This is the information age. News travels fast, conversations happen worldwide in real time. And now, the treatment of Caitlin Clark is no longer confined to SportsCenter and the newspaper. It's gone national, to the point where even mainstream figures are chiming in.
How he'd stop the fighting, he thought they meant the WNBA. What is going on? Protect Caitlin Clark at all costs, please. Enough of this.
When a late-night comedian like Jimmy Fallon starts calling on the league to protect Caitlin Clark, and the audience cheers, you know something's changed. This isn't just chatter in the fandom anymore. It's crossed over into real public sentiment. People aren't just frustrated, they're demanding change. And what started as fan outrage could now wind up heading straight to the courts. For the first time, it's turned into a potential civil rights issue. A new op-ed in the Wall Street Journal didn't just say Caitlin Clark's treatment in the WNBA is a bad look. It argued it could be a federal civil rights violation. The author, Sean McClain, is a former White House associate counsel under the first Trump administration. Not some random blogger. He's a legal insider with real credentials, and his claim is explosive. According to McClain, the WNBA's repeated failure to protect Caitlin Clark, despite overwhelming evidence, may have already crossed the line into federal civil rights territory. He lays out the case: a hostile work environment, repeated abuse on the court, negligent inaction from the league office, and public attacks from other players that go unchecked. And based on all of that, McClain says the Department of Justice, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and even Congress would be justified in launching a full-scale investigation. He even warns that if this escalates, the WNBA's long-standing antitrust exemptions, which protect it from legal competition, could be reevaluated. So why would the government get involved? Because Caitlin Clark isn't just a basketball player, she's an economic engine. And McClain brings the receipts. Merchandise sales were up 601%. Indiana Fever viewership jumped 170%. League Pass subscriptions climbed 366%. WNBA app engagement skyrocketed 613%. And Clark's personal endorsements have already cleared $11 million. And the league's reaction? Basically silence. Instead of protecting the player generating all that momentum, they've allowed, or even enabled, a culture of targeting, hostility, and resentment. And that's where McClain makes his sharpest comparison. He says this situation mirrors the D. Erica Hamby case, where the EEOC launched a formal investigation after Hamby was allegedly mistreated by her team during pregnancy. McClain argues Caitlin's case may warrant the same treatment, not because she's pregnant, but because she's been systematically targeted, harassed, and left unprotected in her workplace. And the evidence is all public. From the Kennedy Carter hit to Diana Taurasi's reality is coming warning to missed calls, on-camera fouls, and viral videos, McClain says the league's inaction isn't just wrong, it's potentially actionable. Now let's be clear, this doesn't mean a lawsuit is coming tomorrow. Even many of Clark's biggest fans, the ones who would absolutely pay to watch Cathy Engelbert testify under oath, admit this is a long shot. And some voices in sports media are already pushing back.
When you're getting all the attention, when you're the most exciting thing in the sport, when you're at the top, when you're making the most money, jealousy and envy is going to jump on the competitor's back and they're going to cut corners and do things. I don't like this article. I don't like the victimhood thing that's being thrown on Caitlin Clark. I get what the jealous, hating-ass Shaniquas are doing. I get it. But I can't go this far and just her civil rights are violated and the government needs to step in. You gotta miss me with that.
Let's be real, Caitlin Clark probably wants no part of this. Yeah, she's clearly frustrated with the officiating. That much is obvious. But becoming the face of a civil rights case? That's not what she signed up for. If this ever moved forward, she'd likely try to shut it down. Not because the mistreatment isn't serious, but because she doesn't want to play the victim. But whether she wants this or not might not even matter anymore. Because Stephen A. Smith just laid out a path where this thing stops being just a media debate and becomes something very real, very fast.
If the Trump administration can settle with Columbia for a $221 million settlement over what's taking place on the campus, you think you can definitively rule out what kind of noise can be made if the WNBA continues to allow this treatment of Caitlin Clark? You really, really think they're going to be silent?
Stephen A's point is simple. Now that this story has gone national, if Caitlin Clark keeps getting targeted and nothing changes, it's the kind of thing President Trump might speak out about. Not because he's a big WNBA fan, but because this is the kind of story that gets attention. And once the president starts talking about it, everything changes.
Now, before you go any further, I'm not here saying that the case will be won by the government if it got to that point or anything like that. I'm saying they have a case. They have an argument. And do we doubt that at his discretion, at his disposal, if he finds this to be an issue that's politically expedient for him, that Trump won't use this to feed his base? The golden child in her second year in the league, who was top 4 in MVP voting last year, the assist leader last year, a galvanizing talent that has done wonders for the NBA. If she is seen to be physically getting abused on a basketball court in a way that is such a clear and flagrant discrepancy compared to what happens to others, that man is not going to say something?
Whether you agree with him or not, here's the point. There's a chance something bigger comes from this, at least more of a chance than many are giving it. The Trump administration has stepped into sports before, especially when civil rights or unfair treatment are involved. And if this keeps growing, he might decide to act. Stephen A. says it might serve as a convenient distraction from more serious problems. In fact, he's convinced of it. And if it happens, it would be a disaster for the W, its players, and maybe even for Caitlin, who, again, probably wants none of this. Because once this becomes political, nothing stays the same.
Now you got the Justice Department and the Trump administration being egged on to pay attention to this issue so it will get addressed. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it could be politically expedient. Yes, this could be all about feeding the MAGA base. Yes, this could end up being much ado about nothing. But it's not. Because a CBA negotiation is imminent. And those players that are talking about their value, what's going to be held against you is looking at your value when Caitlin Clark is not playing.
What if this turns into a Capitol Hill hearing? What if Cathy Engelbert is forced to testify? What if Caitlin Clark's value to the league and her mistreatment get laid out in the national press? If that happens, the court of public opinion will explode. And it won't just be a PR crisis. It'll be a disaster for the players. Because all those numbers, the 600% merch spike, the sold-out arenas, the record-breaking ratings, they won't just be headlines anymore. They'll be evidence. Official. Documented. Public. And once that happens, good luck at the bargaining table. You can't claim leverage in a CBA negotiation when Caitlin Clark's impact is being quantified in a legal setting. Even worse, sponsors will see it too. They already know Caitlin's impact. That's not a secret. But they don't love federal investigations. That's what Stephen A. is warning about. Every jealous quote, every hard foul, every double standard, it all comes back to haunt the league and the players. And as Stephen A. lays out, there is plenty of evidence.
But 17 flagrant fouls have been called against people for beating up on Caitlin Clark. That's practically double what's happened for any other player in the league. They have evidence to say she's being treated unfairly. Even though I think it's just basketball and I think allow them to be competitive and they prefer for competitive juices to flow. I'm not talking about what I feel. I'm talking about the argument that this administration and this Department of Justice can make. You already saw the senator sent the letter. You think that's an accident? More's coming, y'all. Caitlin Clark gonna make national news. Caitlin Clark is going to be politicized. It's coming. I can smell it.
He mentions the 17 flagrants committed against Caitlin, more than any other player. Coaches, former players, analysts, fans, a lot of respected people have spoken up. The dots are there, and the pattern is real, and that's why Stephen A. ends with this final warning. And this is something that Caitlin Clark and non-Caitlin Clark fans should be able to agree on.
WNBA, you've been forewarned. You gotta address this. Kill this noise now. Make sure you do what you gotta do. Last 2-minute reports from the referees. Emulate that from the NBA and institute that immediately. And start ejecting people if their behavior is too excessive. Against everybody, not just Caitlin Clark. Have a consistent policy. Don't make them find evidence that this inconsistency that's disfavorable to Caitlin Clark. Oh, there will be hell to pay.
While Caitlin is the focus of the Wall Street Journal article as the face of the league being mistreated on the court, if the officials just called the game properly and the league punished on-court offenses accordingly, the jealousy would remain, but the severity of the attacks would be reduced dramatically. And in that sense, this is bigger than Caitlin Clark. When Stephen A. calls on the WNBA to fix the officiating and be more accountable, that benefits all players. Because there's more than enough sound bites to show that this is a league-wide issue. No matter how you feel about the op-ed, Trump, or Stephen A., that's something all fans should want. And in that sense, hopefully the WNBA brass takes this op-ed as seriously as Stephen A. does. Because if we've learned anything about Trump, you can't underestimate his willingness and ability to speak up on an issue, make a blunt assessment, and create a national conversation. I'm not debating the odds or the political distraction angle Stephen A. raised, but if Trump sees this as a national issue that aligns with his platform and his base, there's a real chance he says something. If you subscribe to Stephen A.'s thinking, it's likely. Hopefully the W sees it this way and takes proactive measures to protect all players on the court, especially Caitlin Clark, and protect its bottom line in the process. Otherwise, this could spiral into a PR disaster the WNBA never recovers from. Caitlin didn't ask for any of this. I bet she doesn't want it. She just wants to play basketball and win. But if nothing changes, she might end up at the center of it either way, putting her in a win-lose situation. So what do you think? Do you agree with Stephen A? Do you think this could actually happen? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.